Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be going over something that a lot of people are going over right now because I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to read, we are going to be going over the Goodreads Choice Awards. So unlike a lot of channels, I don't have a specific thing that I read, so we're just going to go through all of them. Probably not like the humor nonfiction. We'll quickly like peruse those, see if I've, know them, but we are going to go through them and I'm going to kind of make my initial guesses, maybe what's going to go through. I'm not going to be reading any of them yet. I'm gonna see what I have on my TBR and maybe start, but I'm gonna wait for the finals to come out and then kind of pick some to read because I like to read them. Like, I don't love voting in the finals if I know a lot of the books, unless I know a lot of the books. If I don't know that many books, I feel bad about voting because, like, what if one of the books was better than what I read? I also don't tend to vote for any books that get below a 4. So even if I haven't read any of the other books in the category, if I didn't necessarily like the book I did read, I don't vote for it. So then I just don't vote in that category. So we'll see what happens. All right, we're just gonna get into it. I've got my slightly unwashed hair that I really need to take a shower and I just keep putting it off. My wrinkly sweatshirt, having a great time. I've got my smoothie, which is super unhealthy in this form, but it's literally getting me through this morning. And yeah, that's how I'm feeling this morning. So we're just gonna get into this Goodreads thing. I'm mostly gonna be looking at my screen and not up there, and I'm trying something new. I'm screen capturing what's on my laptop. My backup is what I have on my phone, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. This video could be a total wash because I can't get it to work. But I'm screen capturing what's on my computer right now, which is all the way down here. But I'm gonna pop it up, what I'm looking at, and hopefully I can sync it up correctly. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be interesting. Okay, we are on the best books of 2022 on the little opening screen. I keep getting so many ads for Hellbent and I cannot wait for it to come out. So opening round is from November 15th to the 27th. So I have like 11 days. Math is really hard for me. I was trying to do math in my head and it's just bad, okay? All right, final round. November 29th to the 4th. Winners aren't announced until the 8th, so I actually have until the 7th, not the 4th. So that's like a week and a half. To read a couple books. It's not a lot, but I can probably do it. And I have a couple books I already know I'm going to read because I already know they're gonna be finalists. Because I did see a few of them. People are really excited about it, and they were already winners, like other places, like Barnes & Noble's winner, Lesson in Chemistry, is definitely going to be on here. And then Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which I believe was Book of the Month's winner, is definitely going to be on here. So I already plan to read those for a different video, so I'm going to read them for this before I make my decision. All right, let's get started with fiction. I feel like I'm not going to have read a ton of these, because I don't read that much fiction. It's a toss-up what I'm gonna have the most in a category, because I feel like I read a lot of horror, but I didn't read a lot of popular horror. I read a lot of young adult horror, so it's gonna be in young adult. If they even include it, they tend not to include that many like young adult horrors in the horror or in the young adult science fiction fantasy. So I don't know where most of my books are gonna be. It's gonna be possibly romance. I don't know. I just read so many different things. Okay. Remarkably Bright Creatures, I haven't heard of. Widow's Unlikely Connection, nope. That sounds weird. Connection with a Pacific Octopus. I don't like anything that's really sad. Like, I just don't. I don't like anything that's really sad. So this is probably why I haven't picked that one up, and I don't plan on picking that one up. Honor, haven't heard of this one either. Love Across a Cultural Divide. I haven't heard this one. I might have to look into this one more. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. So this is like a tech thing. I picked it up because number one, everyone was like obsessed with it, and then it has to do with like video game world, so I thought it would be really cool. I know it's really emotional, which is why I haven't read it yet, but I have it upstairs and I do plan on reading it because I'm like 100% sure that this one's going to be in the finals, possibly a winner. The Hotel Nantucket. I loved that book. So I already have read that. I actually assume this will probably be in the finals as well. A lot of people read it. A lot of people loved it. Elin Hilderbrand is really popular. This was such a good book. This was like, I think I have a full review. I don't know if I have a full review or not. This was a good vibes only book, and I absolutely loved it. So the next one I've seen literally everywhere, especially because Barnes & Noble has a special edition of it, which I think is gorgeous, and I'm always tempted to pick it up. But magical realism, I can go either way with magical realism. So I tend just to not pick up magical realism unless I'm like really into the topic, and this one just hasn't done it for me. But if it's in the finals, which I assume it probably will be, I may look into it more. I don't know. I'm very on the fence about fiction a lot of times. I'm more likely to do a full mystery thriller category or young adult science fiction fantasy category than I am fiction or romance. I really love romance books, so I just don't know about this one. Olga Dies Dreaming. I believe this was a book of the month, I think. It's just, again, it's not something I normally pick up because it seems very emotional. So currently I'm going through a lot of health problems. So most of the books that I pick up are things that are like mostly good vibes only, except for the book I literally just read and it made me sob at the end. And it was just like, eh. Like it was not, I liked it a lot, but right now I want to live in like a fantasy world where I don't have to deal with stuff. So like reading about other people's problems does not make me feel better, like at all. It does not make me, watching reality TV like Love is Blind, that makes me feel better. But reading about people's like legitimate sad problems does not make me feel better. So this is one that I avoided because I knew it would be like an emotional journey, but I'll probably look into it more because again, I've seen this quite often, so this might make it through to the next one. Cleopatra and Frankenstein, don't know anything about, I've never heard of it. Notes on an Execution, I own, and I'm really excited to read it. Again, it's one of those emotional books, I feel like, but I feel like it's gonna be something I like because it's about, I think it's like what, a serial killer's family? Yeah, it's not following the serial killer exactly, it's through the eyes of the family and the friends. So I think that's gonna be really, really good. I do kind of want to pick it up before the end of the year, so I hope this one makes it through because then I have an excuse to like force myself to read it. Jodi Picoult, Wish You Were Here. I have no desire to read any of their books, so I'm just gonna skip over that one. It'll probably make it to the final just because of who the author is. Our Missing Hearts, I don't know anything about, but I see it everywhere. Never heard of this one either. Lockdown, yeah, I don't read anything that has to do with lockdown. I don't read anything that has to do with pandemic. It really wasn't that hard for me, but I just don't like reading about that stuff. It's because it's my job. Like I work at the hospital. I'm constantly surrounded by sick people, constantly, and COVID is like right there in your face. Right now it's actually more the flu and RSV. But it's still just like, I don't want to go home and read about the pandemic because I already have to deal with it all the time. So I'm not interested in anything pandemic related or lockdown related. Frederick Backman, I really don't like his book, so I won't be reading that. It'll probably make it though. Everyone seems to like Frederick Backman. Emma Straub, I also don't have any interest in her books. How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water. I've never seen this. Mad Honey, again, this author. Like, where do you have the time to write multiple books in the year? Like, how? I just don't have any interest in this author. If you guys really liked either one of their books or any of these books that I say I just don't have an interest in, let me know. Because otherwise, I'm just going off of, like, basic instinct here. Now is not the time to panic. I really don't like this cover. That's probably why I've never picked it up. I really don't like this cover. This one I see everywhere. Still don't know what it's about. Set in the Mountains of Southern Apple. Oh no. Oh no. I won't read this because my husband is from this area. Or my husband is from the backwoods, and there's a lot of things that go on that make me very uncomfortable there. So I don't like reading about it because then it makes me fight his like family. And it makes me like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. I don't read anything that has to do with backwoods. If I say it wrong and my husband watches, he's gonna be really mad. Appalachia. That doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right. I try to avoid that word because My family's from the north. We don't say it right, apparently. I didn't know there was a correct way to saying it until I moved to the south. So, I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't really have an interest in reading this one either. Because it's gonna hit way too close to home. True Biz, I don't think I was interested in this either. Nightcrawling I haven't heard of. East Open Apartment. See, Fractured by Death in Prison. Ugh, it's just so sad. It's like, they're just so sad. I've seen this one a lot. And I feel like this one may be a favorite to win. Even though I don't know anything it's about. I've just seen it a lot. Oh yeah, I wouldn't read it because of it's the same author as A Little Life. I just won't do it. I see how broken people are after reading that. And I have no interest in being that upset about it. So that's everything in the fiction category. I'm sorry I haven't read that much in it. I knew it was going to be like a toss-up if I read a lot. I read The Hotel Nantucket. And I really, really liked it. So I mean, I will be voting for it. So voting for that one. I really, really did like that. I know it's not the most poignant one on this list. And there's probably some that really deserve it. But I was in a really rough mental state when I read this book, and it really helped me, and I really liked it. And it reminds me of up north a lot, where my mom's from and where my mom takes us on vacations. So it reminded me of my mom and like going to these little areas up in the north, and I really liked it. My guesses as to who's gonna make it, I don't know enough. I'm guessing Our Missing Hearts, the Frederick Backman, Olga Dies Dreaming, the Hanya Yanagihara. I don't know if the Elin Hildebrand's gonna make it, but I'm gonna count that one. The Elin Hildebrand, the Emma Straub will make it. I don't even know how many make it. Sarah Addison, the other birds will make it. Both Jodi Picoult books. Tomorrow, I think are gonna make it. So, but that's kind of my guess as who will make it in this category. So let's move on to mystery and thriller. This one has the potential to have the most I've read, or at least own. Okay, yeah, I recognize all these so far. Killers of a Certain Age, hated it. Daisy Darker, hated it. Things We Do in the Dark, not a thriller, definitely on the mystery side of this category. I enjoyed it. I can see why a lot of people did not enjoy it. Oh god, what's my hair doing? The Richard Osman, I have the first book on audiobook, and I don't like the audiobook. I have a hard time focusing with audiobooks, so I'm actually planning on picking up the physical first book because I know I'm gonna like it. I just have a hard time with audiobooks. Okay, this one I actually haven't heard of yet. The Housemaid, Welcome to the Family. It sounds like maybe the housemaid's gonna try and take over the wife's life. That actually sounds kind of interesting. I'm gonna add this to want to read. I've never seen this, nor have I heard of it, and that's surprising. A Flicker in the Dark, I really liked this book. I thought this was a really, really good book. Book of Cold Cases, I absolutely hated it. And it's sad because Simone St. James is one of my favorite thriller writers, mystery thriller, because her sometimes border on not thriller. Like, I wouldn't classify this one as a thriller either. This is like a paranormal mystery. Really like her. I hated this book. Like, I really hated this book. Lucy Foley, The Paris Apartment. I loved it. I know a lot of people did not, but I actually really, really love this book, which is, I feel like, a big surprise. Jackal. I have not heard of this one. I think that sounds really good, so I'm going to add that to want to read. The Golden Couple I haven't read yet, which is actually really surprising because Greer Hendricks and the Sarah Pekkanen books, I've read all of them, and actually really, they're fine. Like, they're good books. I haven't picked it up because there's other books that there's other thrillers that I want to read more than this one, because I know I'll enjoy it, but I won't be like, oh my gosh. So that's why I haven't picked it up yet. Although it does seem it's higher than their other like mixed books. So I know I'm going to pick it up, I just don't know when. Overnight Guest I own on audiobook. I don't know why I picked these up on audiobook, because I know I'm not going to like read them on audiobook, or it'll take me forever to get to it. The Night Shift by Alex Finlay, I've seen everywhere, no idea what it's about. 4 teenage girls are attacked, and that can be really, really hard to read. And I had there's 2 squirrels chasing each other outside in my front yard. And there's other books that I would prefer to read than be like traumatized by this, but you can see I already have it on my want to read. I do want to read it. it just looks really difficult and filled with trauma. So that one's getting a, I don't know when I'm going to pick it up, but I will be picking it up. The Family Game, hated it. The Violent Conspiracy, never heard of it. Oh, I can tell you why I haven't picked it up. I tend not to read books that have men as the main characters. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I tend not to, so. Wrong Place, Wrong Time, no interest. I believe this has to do with like an assassin. I'm not that interested in that kind of stuff. Oh, never mind. This is not the book I was thinking of. Every morning you wake up a day earlier, another day before the murder. Okay, that actually sounds really cool. Okay. The It Girl I own, haven't read it yet. The Maid I hated. Really hated. More Than You'll Ever Know is on my list, I think, to read. No, it's not. But I know I did want to read this one, so we'll add that on. Although it keeps getting lower and lower ratings, 3.79. All Good People Here is on my list to read. I've been wanting to read this. I don't know why I haven't put any of these on my want to read. And then The Family Remains. I don't have it on my want to read yet because I haven't read the first one yet. So, going through this, there's a lot I didn't like. There's a lot I didn't like. I liked The Paris Barman. I liked A Flicker in the Dark. And I liked Things We Do in the Dark. I wouldn't vote for Things We Do in the Dark. I didn't like it as much as the other two. I think I rated The Paris Apartment 5 stars, but I actually prefer A Flicker in the Dark, if that makes any sense. I gave Paris Apartment a 5-star because I rate things immediately, like my instinct. And I try not to go back and change it unless I have like really strong feelings about it. So, oh no, I gave this a 5-star. I think in like my book thing, I gave it like a 4.5. But I am voting for this one. I like it better. Paris Apartment just had a really good ending, and that's why I ended up getting a 5-star. So I really like that. Historical fiction, I doubt I've read anything in here. I think I've been planning on reading Black Cake and The Marriage Portrait. I have The Marriage Portrait. It's right up my alley. It's like the only type of historical fiction I read is like old English, Italian history stuff, like King Henry VIII and before, and a little bit after, tiny bit after. That's pretty much all that I read in historical fiction. I tried reading The Magnolia Palace and I hated it, and I won't be getting Carrie Soto's back until I finish Malibu Rising. I try not to get more books from the same author if I haven't read like their previous one yet. Go Tell the Bees That I'm Gone is probably gonna win. Take My Hand seemed way too sad. Violetta, I'm on the fence about. I love that cover, and I kind of want to read it, but again, I'm on the fence about it because I just tend not to enjoy historical fiction that much. My mom reads a lot of historical fiction. Hester I own, and I plan to read it. I'm a little surprised it's in historical fiction. That seems more like just a fiction book. Lessons in Chemistry I just picked up, and I will be reading for another video. So I haven't read any yet, so I will not be voting. And this just really isn't my cup of tea category, and I won't be reading anything in here for a video or anything. Okay, best fantasy. Adult fantasy is also like a toss-up because I don't read a ton of adult fantasy. It's mostly young adult. The War of Two Queens. I was originally going to read the Blood and Ash series, but after seeing everyone's like hate on it now, once it's gotten further into the series, I don't think I'm gonna read it anymore. Electra, I will not be reading. I will not be reading Electra because I have found that I do not like anything with Greek mythology in it. I hated Ariadne, I DNF'd that. I hated Circe by Madeline Miller. I don't even really like the Percy Jackson series. I know, I'm sorry. I don't like it for some reason, which is funny because I'm fascinated by them. I know all the stories. Maybe I'm like too into it, so I don't like the retellings. I don't know. It's very strange. Legends and Lattes, I do plan to pick up. I almost picked it up last time at the bookstore, but I'm trying to save money right now. Kaki, I have seen, I probably did not say that right. I think I didn't pick this up because it was talking about the gods. Oh, see, I didn't even like Sylvia Moreno Garcia's book about the Mexican gods. I didn't like that one either. So maybe I just don't like retellings relating to any gods. I don't know. I don't know what's up with that, because you would think I like it because I find that stuff so fascinating. Like, I'll watch documentaries on this stuff and TV shows. I love TV shows about that stuff, but for some reason when it goes in a book form, I just don't like it. This seems fine. It's just not really something I would normally pick up. Warrior Queen. It sounds cool, but I don't know. It's like I said, I just don't pick up that much fantasy adult fiction. If this was like a young adult book, I probably already own it. Golden Enclaves, loved it. Loved it. Like, loved it. I think I still only gave it a 4. Why does it say I haven't read it yet? I'm very confused because I definitely read this. Okay, I'm gonna look into that because I definitely have read that. I read it with my husband. Like, what is going on with this? That's really weird. Okay, I'll have to look that up later. The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin. I think I already have another N.K. Jemisin that I'm trying to read that I have, so I haven't picked this one up yet. This is the second one in the series, isn't it? Yeah, I haven't picked up the first one yet. Daughter of the Moon Goddess, I own, haven't read it. Very Secret Study of Irregular Witches, own it, haven't read it. Atlas 6, own it, haven't read it. Fairy Tale, I won't read it. I don't like Stephen King's writing. Nettle and Bone, have it, haven't read it. Babel, have it, terrified of reading it. Terrified. Ordinary Monsters, have it, haven't read it. House of Sky and Breath will probably be the winner of this category. Haven't read it, own it. I won't start this one until the third one's out. The Book Eaters, read it, loved it. Loved it. I don't even think it will make the final. Like, I don't, because I don't feel like enough people have read it, but I loved it. It was so good. When Women Were Dragons, not heard of this one at all. Ooh, I tend not to read anything that has animals in it just because... Yeah, this is why I didn't pick it up. The Mass Dragoning, Hundreds of Thousands of Ordinary Wives and Mothers Sprouted Wings, Left, Fire, Destruction. I just didn't have to read anything with animals, and this looks really depressing, actually. So yeah, I didn't pick it up because it looks depressing, and I don't read stuff with animals in it. It's just, it's unfair because if I don't like it because an animal dies, that's more on me than the author, although I don't know why people have animals die a lot in their books. So River Enchanted, I own it. I'm waiting to read it because I have another Rebecca Ross that I'm waiting to read. I read Dreams, what is it? Dreams Beneath Us, Dreams something. That book was fantastic. It was so good. It was so good. So I'm really excited to read another. I really didn't have any interest in Thistlefoot. Stardust Thief, own it. Haven't read it yet because it's a series. I don't like reading the first book in a series until I have the other books because I feel like then when I get the second book, it's not much of like an emotional impact. So anyway, I think House of Sky and Breath is going to end up winning the whole thing. It's just, sometimes, you know, it's like, although Stephen King, I think there's more House of Sky and Breath fans in fantasy though than fairy tale Stephen King fantasy fans, because Stephen King would win if it was a horror category. It's between those two, fairy tale and House of Sky and Breath. I gotta vote for the Golden Enclaves. I really loved the Golden Enclaves. I thought it was so good. Although I hate it changes order. What was it? The Book Eaters was really close. It was really close second. Next category, Best Romance. I assume I've read a lot of these. I didn't have any interest in Every Summer After, no interest in Twisted Hate. I don't read a lot of stuff with tons of smut. If it's like one of those books that has like, it's literally all smut, I just don't like it. I like more plot. Part of Your World is a perfect example. Part of Your World is a perfect romance book for me because it was all tension and longing, and I love that. And there's not a lot of, there's like nothing smutty really in there. I loved it. Love on the Brain, gave 4-star. I won't read Colleen Hoover. I have no interest in Colleen Hoover. The only one I'm slightly interested in is Verity because it seems like it's more of a mystery than one of her romances. I'm just not interested in Colleen Hoover. And I think it's because it's being pushed on everyone so hard. Like everywhere you go, you see Colleen Hoover books. So it just turns me completely off of her books because I'm like that. If someone tells me to do something, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it at all. So I'm not interested in it. The Bodyguard was fantastic. Not a ton of like substance, but it was so much fun to read. That was so funny. This I have heard. You Made a Fool of Death for Your Beauty. It has it may be the most beautiful cover I've seen so far in these Goodreads Choice Awards, and I have seen it. Just based on the cover though, it makes me think it's sad. So I haven't picked it up, and because when I'm looking at a romance book to read, I don't want to read anything sad. I really don't. I just want to have a fun time. So I haven't picked that one up yet. See, seeking joy while healing from loss. So I'm just like, yeah, no, I can't do it. 5 years since the accident that killed the love of her life. No, I can't. I literally can't do books like that. I cannot do books like that, because then I start thinking of my husband, and then I start thinking about if something happens to him, and then I'm like, I can't do it. I really can't do it. So unfortunately, no matter what, I won't be reading that one, because I will sob my eyes out and just stay in bed for days, and then my husband will be annoyed at me because every time I look at him, I'll just start crying. And that's happened before. I read a book like that before, and he's like, we cannot repeat this. I can't handle this. Part of Your World will probably get my vote. Love it. Absolutely love it. No interest in reading Katie Robert. The American Roommate Experiment. Spanish Love Deception #2. Okay, I loved the Spanish Love Deception, so I'm gonna go out and get this like this weekend. My birthday's actually this weekend. So I am really excited, and I'll probably get this weekend because I really like that first book, so I'm gonna read it. I don't really have that much interest in Emily Henry, but I did pick up Book Lovers because out of all of her books, I feel like that's the one I will like if I like one of her books. Thank you for listening. I have not heard of audiobook narrator. Okay, this actually sounds really good. Okay, I'm gonna add this because this actually sounds pretty good. Dr. Dill, Dating Dr. Dill. I actually loved this book. I thought this was such a good book. See, it's another one. Oh no, it says, okay, it says I read it. Yeah, I gave it 5 stars. I really liked it. Again, it actually had much more substance than I thought it would, and I really enjoyed getting a peek into Indian culture, because I know, what is that show that I watch? Indian matchmaking, something like that, on Netflix, and it was such like a, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. So I'm really excited. I was really excited to read this and get more of a glimpse of like that type of culture, and it was just so good. It was so good. It was so funny. There was lots of pining and enemies to romance. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. This Kiss Curse, absolutely loved it. This is the one I've read the most recent, I think, in this category. Yeah, absolutely loved it. It was so good. Loved it. Won't read Colleen Hoover. Funny you should ask. I've heard iffy things about, so I just haven't really bothered with it, and I don't really like the cover. I don't like the art on the cover. The Wedding Crasher, I haven't read it. Terms and Conditions, I plan on reading it because I actually like the first one. I know these are more smutty books, but I got the first one because I loved the cover, and it was actually really good. Like, it had a lot more plot in it than I thought it would, so I do plan on picking up Terms and Conditions. Delilah Green Doesn't Care is also on my list to read. Hook, Line, and Sinker. I haven't read the first one. For some reason, I think it's another issue with Colleen Hoover, but all these romance, because I watched some romance booktubers, and I feel like Tessa Bailey is like in your face a lot too. So it's the same issue with Colleen Hoover. I'm just like on Tessa Bailey. I'll eventually probably pick them up. I also don't love the cover art either of these books. And Things We Never Got Over. I think I wasn't really interested in it. I don't know who will win this category. I definitely think one of the Colleen Hoovers will probably win, possibly the Emily Henry. I'm voting for Part of Your World. I loved Part of Your World. It was so good, funny, I cried, but in like the best way, and it talked about serious things at some points, but not like over the top. It was just a good time, but also like made you really think about it at the same time. So I enjoyed that. But yeah, I hope The Bodyguard makes it through because I really like that one. If I didn't vote for Part of Your World, I probably would have voted for, or The Kiss Curse. I don't know. I think The Kiss Curse probably second, and then The Bodyguard third. Yeah, that's hard. That was a hard one. Science fiction, I probably haven't read anything in this. Never heard of it, have seen it everywhere. That looks like a horror book. Isolated Chateau. Okay, that actually sounds kind of good. Kaiju Preservation Society, I have read that one. It was fine. It wasn't that great. It was fine. I think I gave it a 3.5, so probably a 4 on here. knocked it down to a 3. It was It was a little over the top with the humor. Like, the humor got really old very, very fast. It was the same jokes over and over again. Did not like that. Sleepwalk, really don't like that cover. That kind of freaks me out. Sea of Tranquility I own. I'm waiting to read Station 11 first. The Genesis of Misery, that kind of freaks me out. High-tech space battles, not really interested in that. I'm not interested in science fiction that much. It has to be very specific science fiction. I hate when they put books this deep into a series in this category, because it's yeah. I have the first one, I just haven't read it yet. Atomic Anna I haven't heard of. Dead Silence I read and actually was really good. I actually think it should be in the horror category more than the science fiction. It's a good mix of the two, but it was definitely like marketed as horror, so I feel like this should be in the horror category. I want to read Station Eternity. I think this looks really good. The Midsolar Murders, this sounds really fun. Haven't heard of this one. Upgrade by Blake Crouch, I just don't have any interest in it. I just don't. I know a lot of people loved it, I'm just not interested. Lost in Time I haven't heard of. Hunt the Stars, haven't heard of, but it looks cool. Oh, I read Polaris Rising. I actually really like Polaris Rising. Okay, I'm gonna add that one because it's like science fiction romance is what she writes. I need to read the other books in that like series. It's like those standalone series. I need to read the other ones. Ocean's Echo I plan on reading by the end of this year. I own it already. I didn't love the first one I gave, I think, a 3.5. I liked the romance, but there was too much around it. Like, it was a really long book. There was too much going on around it. I really like the romance, a lot going around it. So I'm hoping Ocean's Echo maybe tones down how much is going on in it, but we'll see. Not on the 9th, I have, it's actually funny, I have the second book. I found the second book really cheap, so I picked it up because I knew I wanted to read the series. I still don't have the first one. The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, haven't read or picked up. One of my favorite covers. I love the cover. I have 2 of her books that I have to read still, so I haven't picked it up yet. Mickey 7, I actually heard someone talk about it. I think it was Gabby Reeds was reading it. Someone was reading it, and I just wasn't that interested in the premise of it. And then How High We Go in the Dark, I don't think I was, for fans of Cloud Atlas and Station 11, just not that interested in it. So, have I read anything in this? Yeah, but I'm not gonna vote for either one. Dead Silence was good, but I think it's more horror, and I didn't give it like super good rating. And then Kaiju Preservation Society was It was a fun read for what it was, but I think there's way better books probably in this category. Horror, toss up. What Moves the Dead I own. Hidden Pictures was fantastic. Sundial, I have no interest in reading it, but I have one of her other books. I have Little Eve, and I'm really excited to read that one. That one's about like a dark cult thing going on. I'm excited. The Hacienda was so good. I could see this being in fiction as well, but it did scare the crap out of me at some parts. Like, it was legitimately kind of like, ooh, what's happening? So I love that book. I thought it was so good. No interest in reading Stephen King. Small Angels I own, and the only thing that's put me off of reading it is how long it is. That's really it. Such Sharp Teeth I've seen everywhere, just don't really have that much interest in it. Gallows Hill I will be reading. I don't know when. I love Darcy Coates, so I'm excited to see a Darcy Coates. House of Hunger I really do also want to read. I just haven't gotten to it yet. No interest in Just Like Mother. A lot of people read this. I'm not interested in it. Devil Takes You Home I own. I just haven't started it yet. I'm a little nervous about this book. Cherry Robbers I haven't heard of. This sounds more like thriller. Our Wives Under the Sea I haven't heard of either. This also stresses me out because it's following the wife, and she's stressed out because her partner is slipping from her grasp. Yeah, that stresses me out. It sounds really good, but it's also like really stressing me out. So I don't know. That one's sounds good, but also has me stressed. Nope. Plague, no interest. Jennifer McMahon, I haven't read it yet. I don't know why I keep putting it off. I don't know why. I was gonna read it for October. I don't know what's wrong with me. Don't have any interest in The Fervor. White Horse I just started. I just started. I got it from Book of the Month. I just started that one, so that's exciting. Juniper and Thorn, We Spread, no interest. No interest in this, that I've heard people talk about it, and I have no interest in Manhunt. So definitely my vote goes to the Hacienda. I thought this was so good. I really liked Hidden Pictures as well, but I really liked the Hacienda. I think Stephen King, I hate when I see his name in these categories because he always wins. And I feel like his books are not the best. I know that's a hot take and people are probably going to disagree with me, but I think other books are better than his. Sorry. I'm sorry, but I do. So I hope something else wins, but I have a feeling it's going to be Stephen King. If he also wins a fantasy category, I'm so mad. I don't read humor books like this, so I don't know any of those. Nonfiction I don't really read either, unless it's true crime. For some reason they don't put a lot of true crime in here. Yeah, haven't seen Memoir and Autobiography. I really don't read that many, although I kind of want to read the Matthew Perry one. Because it seems really interesting. I won't read the Selma Blair because I know, I won't read the Selma Blair. She has MS and that is one of my possible diagnoses. So they don't think I have it, but I'm going through physical therapy right now, and if physical therapy doesn't work, and it's been 3 months and I'm still not that good, they're gonna do a MRI of my brain and look for lesions, which would point to MS. But so yeah, that's why I won't read her book, because then I'm like, I'm pretty sure I don't have it, but that freaks me out. So I won't be reading Selma Blair's book until I know I don't have it or I'm at least feeling better. And I won't read the Alan Rickman because it makes me sad. I do have the Jeanette McCurdy book on audiobook. I don't know why I do it. But I do plan on listening to that one. I just don't know how long it's going to take me. I feel like that one's going to win too. Either that one or the Matthew Perry are going to win. History, I don't read history books. That's more my dad's style. Ooh, The Dark Queens. I read, Dungeons and Dragons. That sounds cool. Graphic novels. I probably have maybe 1 or 2 in here. I'm currently reading Over My Dead Body, which is like a witchy graphic novel. It's really cool. Fangirl, I really didn't like the first one. I really didn't like it. So I don't know if I'll pick up the second one. Heartstopper 4, obviously fantastic. I didn't like it as much as the other ones. It definitely went in a darker direction, which I think it needed to talk about things, but I also don't love going in that darker direction. Lore Olympus, easy, that gets my vote. I actually read a little bit of Layla Starr, it's okay. I won't read Demon in the Wood because it's about the Darkling and I love the Darkling and it'll just make me sad. So I don't want to read that. And I am planning on reading Crumbs at some point because I thought that looked good. Lore Olympus gets my vote. I know that's controversial over Heartstopper 4, but I love Lore Olympus. I love it. Oh, poetry. I don't read poetry. I'm very bad at getting the meaning of poetry. Ooh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, that's like really, really pretty. Debut novel. It's gonna be a lot of what we've already seen. Flicker in the Dark, The Hacienda. I thought this was such a good debut. I was surprised to hear this was a debut novel because it was done so well. So that's definitely my vote. Young adult fiction, I probably won't know a lot in here because I don't read a lot of young adult fiction. I read a lot of young adult science fiction fantasy. Yeah. I just don't have interest in most of these books. The Final Gambit I read and I hated. Absolutely hated it. I will be reading the Kara McManus books, but I have another one that she's written that I need to get to. Read Anatomy of Love Story. It was okay. And I will be reading As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. I haven't read it yet. And I have The Weight of Blood. I'm surprised that's not in... Well, I guess there's not enough. I guess it would be horror. So that's why it's in here. I feel like young adult horror needs its own category. Weight of Blood I have on audiobook, but the audiobook's really good, so I am re-listening to that. But otherwise I just am not that interested in a lot of these. Okay, young adult fantasy and fiction. Have it. I'm nervous to read it because I really liked the first one, hated the second one. Have it, haven't read it. Have it, haven't read it. Have it, I'm not gonna read it until the third one comes out, because everyone keeps saying there's a giant cliffhanger at the end. I don't want to deal with it. Belladonna, have it, read it, loved this book. Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is a beautiful book. It's so good. It's a standalone, beautiful book. Only a Monster. This was so good. Like I said, I normally don't read first books and then go and wait a year. I did it for this one because I really wanted to read it. This was so good. See, again, this is another one I want to read. I wonder if it's the edition that I picked. Yeah, I've read this and I give it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. This is probably gonna be my vote. Cytonic, I have the first one. If You Could See the Sun, I really want to read this one. I was just nervous because it's a main character making continuously bad choices, and that tends to be one of my like pet peeves, so I haven't read it yet. Validity Fortune, I'm waiting because I think it's the first of a couple books, and I know I'm gonna love it. So this would probably be my vote if I've read it, but The Dragon's Promise, I'm waiting for my copy from Fairy Loot. I haven't heard of this one. Violet Made of Thorns, I haven't read it. I really want to get this book. I think this looks really, really good. I just haven't been picking up a lot of young adult books I haven't like slated to already pick up because I have so many to read. So I didn't want to add this one to the growing list that I had. So I'll probably wait till it's in paperback and then pick it up. I have the first one, need to read it. I have the Songbird Trials, the Barnes & Noble edition with the yellow background. I don't know why I picked it up though, because I have an Aiden Thomas that I haven't read yet. And the other Aiden Thomas that I read, I didn't really like. So I don't know what I'm doing, but their covers always like, I want the books when I see the covers. The most beautiful cover I think I've ever owned, and I still have it upstairs. I hated the book. Oh, I hated the end. I liked the rest of the book. Was Lost, what is it? It was the Peter Pan retelling, and the cover is just stunning, but I can't get myself to get rid of it because it's so pretty. And then Gallant is a book I actually want to finish by the end of this year. I will be making a video about that, about the books that I want to finish by the end of this year, and that is on there because it's just been staring at me and I want to finish it. Okay, that's everything in here. I literally almost have all the books, or they're like slated to read. This is the only one I haven't heard of. What If It's Us meets They Both Die at the End. Not interested. Not interested in that. Too sad. I think I definitely have to vote for Only a Monster. Only a Monster was so good. It was so good. And I think, I don't know why I did that. I think that's it, because I don't read middle grade. Because I'm just not interested, although that's a cute cover. I don't know. I can't get into middle grade. So I just don't. Oh, that's a cool cover too. I think middle grade has some awesome covers though. Like if they were young adult books, like I would pick this one up. I would pick up this one. Oh, I have heard of Amari. A lot of people I follow on BookTube read those books, and apparently they're really good. So if I were to pick up any, it would probably be the Amari books because they seem actually really good. That's all though. That's it. That's everything for the Goodreads Choice Awards. I will have so much to read. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I'm probably gonna have to pick a category. It's obviously not gonna be fiction. I feel like mystery and thriller, I'll have the best chance of reading the most books. I feel like the most fun would be romance or young adult fantasy. Possibly just regular fantasy. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think it's gonna depend on what wins. We're gonna see, because I don't want to go out and buy a bunch of new books. So I'm probably just gonna read the books that I own. and maybe try to get someone Libby. I don't know. I'm nervous now that I've done this to myself. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what I'm gonna pick yet. But those are my votes. That's what's going on. I'm kind of surprised this isn't more Hellbent because that's all I've been getting for days. And yeah, that's all I've got. And I had a really fun time doing this. This is the first time I've done this. And I can't wait to see who wins. I have my guesses, like I said. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. And let me know what you guys thought about the nominees. What books you think maybe people like was missed. I'm sure there's a lot of really good books that were missed. And I'm very curious to see what you guys thought should have been in here and wasn't. And if you think Stephen King is gonna just sweep all the categories, aka 2, fantasy and horror, if you think that he's gonna sweep them. But I had a really fun time doing this, so make sure to subscribe because we'll be going over more book Goodreads Choice Awards when the next round comes out, and I'll be reading some of them. So make sure you subscribe to not miss any of those, and some book reviews that will be coming out. My brain's working fast on my mouth today, which I feel like is a lot of the time. Anyway, glad you were here for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.